Hello and welcome back to On Your Beauty. Today I'm going to give you my opinion on the Dior Star foundation. Now I obviously have this little sample, as I try and always get a sample before I buy any kind of high-end product. And I was lucky enough to get this when I was in town in Boots one day. I am the shade 010, which I believe is possibly the lightest shade. The colour matched me and this turned out to be the best match, whichever way it worked out. But yes, I heard so much hype about it, I thought it'd be worth trying out. Now I have the blurb here just in front of me. I will tell you what it's supposed to do. So it's a weightless fluid capable of recreating the spectacular and perfecting light of Dior Studios. The complexion is instantly more luminous and visibly more even. A new generation of hollow silica beads captures and diffuses light in a correcting halo, which with no shine. Excuse me. At the same time, colour filter pigments neutralise colour imbalances to recreate the perfect light. The complexion is clarified with pure, more dazzling and long-lasting light. And it's anti-light trap skincare ingredients to help reduce the appearance of dark circles, pigment spots and redness. This retails for £32 for 30ml, I believe, yes. Which is pretty expensive for a foundation, in my opinion. It's more expensive than the Dior Skin, which I already have and love. But I thought, well, you know, definitely worth trying out. As I said, I've heard so much hype about it. Now, my skin type is on the oilier side. I'm quite normal nowadays, but I tend to get oily slightly here, but really oily around my nose, down my nose and around the creases of my nose, and a bit on my chin area. So this area tends to get quite oily of itself. Also, I'm sorry I sound a bit rubbishy today. Head cold. I'm also a bit deaf, so I can't hear how loud I'm talking, so you know, apologies if I sound funny. Anyway, on with the review. I like to apply this with a brush. I actually used the Expert Face Brush from Real Techniques. It's a bit dirty, I just applied it foundation. And I will just sort of cut to me applying this now, or I'll add it to the side or something. It does go on quite well. I've just applied it over my normal Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, which is silicone based. Goes on really well. I do need a wee bit more because my skin has got some breakouts going on and I do have quite a bit of pigmentation on my forehead. So I apply one layer, really buff it in, and then I go in where I need more coverage and just apply more foundation to that area. And then I tend to almost push it into the skin a wee bit and not move it too much, just to keep that coverage. Yeah, it applies really well. Unfortunately, it doesn't last very well on me at all. For example, the Dior Skin Nude, whatever you like to call it, it will last a good sort of 7 hours before I notice any breaking down around my nose, whereas this will last maybe 4 hours at a push, and it really breaks down in the creases of my nose. It's really, really obvious. You know, it's separated here, so there's a nice sort of crease from the foundation under around my nose, and I tend to lose more coverage on the end of my nose, which is a problem anyway with most foundations, but I lose my coverage here, and where I apply any kind of extra foundation to build it up, that tends to break down a lot quicker. So for example, where I tend to build it up around my chin and just on my cheeks and stuff, that really, really breaks down, and it's actually a bit embarrassing when you're there and it's like, yeah, it's actually a really nice, you know, high-end foundation completely separated on my face. So it doesn't work at all. I've tried it with other primers and without any luck. It definitely does require setting. I tried it once without setting and it was a disaster, an absolute disaster. So you definitely need to set this foundation with a powder and, you know, spray it, whatever else. I'm just really disappointed because I heard so many rave reviews that I expected great things and I didn't get them. It does seem to photograph okay, so any pictures I've taken on Instagram or anything like that, it seems to appear really nicely just after application. And I haven't sprayed my face today, just so you can see it's a nice sort of glow, although in fairness I have used my hourglass, but it is quite a nice light foundation and it does add a nice glow to my skin, you know, a nice, you know, you get that glowiness without it looking sweaty or oily or anything like that. So it does add that to the skin, that's quite nice. But, you know, it goes from that to oily really quickly for me. and that's just not really acceptable. So before it's even lunchtime, my makeup is a mess, and I do tend to, I use my fingers, clean hand, and I will gently just dab it to try and blend it back in, which I do with a lot of other foundations, and it generally works. This one, nope, it just comes off my face and really literally just melts off my face as the day progresses. And yeah, it's not, for me, it's not worth the hype at all, unfortunately. So thankfully I've heard a few other people have started to come forward and say, no, this doesn't work for me either, so I don't feel quite as alone on that front. But yeah, I won't be purchasing a full size. I love the Dior Skin, and it's definitely a holy grail foundation for me if I'm looking for light coverage, light to medium coverage. But this, not so much. It does provide a bit of light to medium coverage, but I can still sort of see the redness here or there through the skin, through the foundation. I've not put concealer on specifically so we can see it here, but I can still see some redness, more redness around my chin area. Yeah, I don't think it's all that really in a bag of chips. So this is a short and sweet review. It applies really nicely, and it does provide, for me, light coverage, almost medium when I've built it up slightly. It seems to photograph quite well and adds a nice luminosity to the skin, but there's no longevity, so it doesn't last very long for me. And it doesn't really cover pigmentation. Like, you can still see my freckles and you can still see the redness, as I said, so it doesn't cover the redness for me, it doesn't cover the pigmentation for me. What else did it claim? Dark circles, I don't really have too much of an issue with it, but I have used my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer under my eyes, but it did actually cover those a wee bit, but they're not massively dark for them to be covered, so I can't really comment on that front. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. I have used this a few different times, as I've said. I've tried it different ways, tried it with different primers and different setting powders and everything else, and I don't really like it. And although I'm very similar shade to the Dior Skin, if I just show you. So if I put them side by side, you might be able to see. So this is my Dior Skin and this is the Dior Star. This is actually a wee bit lighter on my skin, the more it doesn't look it in the bottle. This is a much better match for me than this. I was colour matched, as I said. This seems to end up looking kind of yellow on my face, so no matter which powder I use, it always looks a wee touch yellow after an hour or so, after it's actually settled onto my face, and I don't really like that either. I have issues generally at the minute. I'm trying to switch up my powders to make sure I don't end up looking yellow, because I've been testing out different powders and just not quite getting the one I want. But even without any kind of powder on it, it ends up oxidizing quite a bit and looks a wee touch yellow on me. So yes, that's my review. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. If you know some sort of magic way to make this work, please let me know down below. If you have oily skin, obviously. I have tried it with sponge and with other things, but it is recommended to use a brush when you do apply it, and I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me, unfortunately. So it looks really nice on initial application, but that only lasts for a short period of time. So yes, so thank you very, very much for watching. Please like if you liked, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.